On January 11th, the European Union's drug regulator, the European Medicines Agency, cast doubt on the continual use of COVID booster shots. Although they overwhelmingly advocate for the use of COVID vaccines and praise this. Marco Cavalieri, the EMA's head of biological health threats and vaccine strategy, explained last week in a briefing.
While use of an additional booster shot could be considered as part of a contingency plan, repeated vaccinations within short intervals would not represent a sustainable long-term strategy.
And the World Health Organization's head, Tedros, agreed with this assessment the very next day.
TAG COVAX also said that a vaccination strategy based on repeated booster doses of the original vaccine composition is unlikely to be sustainable.
Later, during that same press briefing, Marco Cavalieri stated that the agency was concerned about continually giving booster shots within a short amount of time, just as the whole world has been doing.
We have not seen yet data with respect to a fourth dose, and we would like to see this data before we can make any recommendation. But at the same time, we are rather concerned about a strategy that entangles repeated vaccination within a short term. So this is something that should be part of an overarching strategy on what could be the best strategy for vaccination over time, making clear that we cannot really continuously give a booster dose every 3-4 months.
On January 18th, the European Medicines Agency held another press briefing where Cavalieri finally admitted that the COVID booster shots reduced the level of antibodies in its recipients.
I would like also to take the opportunity to again clarify our current position on multiple booster doses. The repeated administration of boosters with very short interval might reduce the level of antibodies that can be produced at each administration, as our immune system needs a certain amount of time to mature the response to the antigens it is presented with, so potentially making the vaccination a little bit less efficient over time.
Not only is this not new news, but this has been known for months, as Dr. David Bauer, a virologist from the Francis Crick Institute, explained about the Pfizer vaccine in June 2021.
So the key message from our finding is that we found that recipients of the Pfizer vaccine, those who've had 2 doses, have about 5 to 6-fold lower amounts of neutralizing antibodies. Now, these are the sort of gold standard private security antibodies of your immune system, which block the virus from getting into your cells in the first place. So we found that that's less for people with 2 doses. We've also found that for people with only 1 dose of the Pfizer jab, that they are less likely to have high levels of these antibodies in their blood. And perhaps most importantly for all of us going forward is that we see that the older you are, the lower your levels are likely to be, and the time since you've had your second jab, as that time goes on, the lower your levels are also likely to be.
So, if the vaccines lower immunity, and this information is being shared from scientists to the European Medicines Agency to the World Health Organization, then what is the real motivation behind the booster? Politics? Money? Death? All I know is that the booster shots are officially busted. This is Brian Wilson with Infowars.com.